Brian Cashman has been the Yankees general manager since 1998. Now, that was a historic season, and they were running away with it at the trade deadline, so he really didn't need to do much. And in fact, over his Yankees tenure, he really hasn't had to pull the trigger on many big mid-season deals. Now, this is going to be an interesting dilemma for him. The Yankees haven't won in a while. 2009, the last championship. And 2017 was the last time that he really went for it at the deadline. Last year, you supplemented a bad team with a couple of left-handed bats, which everybody could see coming. But 2017 was the last time that he really tried to make a World Series or bust push, where he went out and he got Sonny Gray. Didn't work out, but he went out and got him. He got Todd Frazier. He got David Robertson. He got Tommy Kahnle thrown into the mix. This is going to be an interesting deadline because the Yankees are already in first place. They're still going to be in first place in the American League East by the deadline. We'll see if they still have home field advantage. But home field advantage is definitely in play, and it can be a big factor in the postseason, as we saw in 2017. So I contend that this might be Brian Cashman's toughest trade deadline of his career. You've got a pretty good farm system, and you've got some really big names out there. Juan Soto, Luis Castillo, and so forth. So I wanted to have a conversation with another content creator, as we've been doing lately. Today I welcome Joey Caputo. You know him as The Shift. And we talk a little bit about Brian Cashman's dilemma and what we would do if we were in his shoes. Last night, man. How brutal was that?
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I sometimes I just get so aggravated that I just shut the game off.
I said for real last night, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience when Garrett Cole asked for one more inning and then gives it up. It's about the second or third time that's happened this year, and it's just it's aggravating.
Yeah.
So look here, man. We're about 9 days out from the trade deadline.
Yep.
So Brian Cashman's got some tough decisions to make. How long you been a Yankee fan, first of all?
My whole life.
Which is
so I'm 30, so practically past 30 years. Jeter's my guy and all that fun stuff. So,
yeah. So Cashman's been the GM for the bulk of your Yankee fandom. Yeah. And, I can't think of many times that he's really been faced with a season like this where you've got a humongous lead in the division. And there's great players out there that can kind of put you over the top. There's the Castillos, the Sotos. There's a ton of guys out there. There's Benintendi. But, in the past, he really hasn't had to go for it. And I just don't know if he's got that club in his bag. 2017, he made a couple of moves.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What would you do if you were Brian Cashman?
I really think that they're waiting to see what the Nationals say in regards to Soto right now. And when a player like him is available, you have to see what you can do.
For sure.
It's Juan Soto. He's a left-handed bat. He's 23. Even if you just have him for the next 2.5 years, you have to see what you could do. You have to see what the heck they want. I look back actually at the 2000 season, and I know that's really far back. But we made a trade for David Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit, 20 home runs for us that year. He was big down the stretch for us. And we were also at that time in talks at getting Sammy Sosa.
Right.
So, and it's like we almost got Sammy Sosa. He had those outrageous seasons. So it's like in getting Juan Soto, it's almost like that. It's like that huge impact bat that you could potentially get.
But let me interject something. Let me interject real quick, because Sammy Sosa was kind of that year's Juan Soto. He was the name that was being thrown out everywhere, and the Yankees were the big speculated target. We've seen that a number of times under Cashman's tenure. 98, it was Randy Johnson. Every year it's somebody. And I feel like he never goes for that player. Instead, he gets the David Justice, or he goes out and gets, he shoots for the layup shot rather than going for the three. You know what I mean?
Sure.
In 2017, I thought the way he addressed that deadline was nice, where he got multiple big parts. Now, Sonny Gray was the guy that everybody was talking about at that point, and that's the one year I think he maybe went out and, he went all in. He got Sonny Gray. He got, Frazier. Who else did we get that year? We got Tommy Canley,
Robertson too.
David
Yeah,
Robertson.
Canley, yeah.
It's like he fixed the team in a number of areas, in a number of weak spots. And really that team was so exciting in the playoffs because they could win any type of game.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to do that this year. I don't see Soto being a real option. If you have to give up the farm, that's just not his style.
Yeah.
I could see it under one circumstance. If Cashman in the back of his mind knows that he's planning his retirement soon, and I have no reason to suspect that he is.
Yeah.
But how cool would it be to be the guy who brought the Yankees Juan Soto and then won him a championship and walked off into the sunset after his contract was over?
Dude, absolutely. And correct me
Legend.
if I'm wrong. Yeah. And I believe Cashman actually this is his final year in his contract. I don't think they extended him, or did they?
No.
Yeah.
No, they haven't.
So imagine him just saying, you know what? Who cares? Let's go and trade the farm, get you guys Soto, and that's it. Adios, amigo. Win the World Series. But listen, we're a lot. We need some pitching now. King is out for the year. We need some bullpen help. We need a starter or two.
I'm not feeling confident in Jameson Taillon. It's July and he's tired. You see guys wear down, and I just think Taillon's one of those guys. He's never really had to pitch deep into the season in his career because he's always gotten hurt.
Yeah.
So as much as I like his stuff and as much as I like him, as a person, I don't see him being a factor. Garrett Cole, obviously, he can give you 5 or 6 in the playoffs, but he occasionally has those games where he can't put guys away, like last night. He's going to be done in the 6th. I think the bullpen is going to be a bigger need than people realize. Losing Mike King is a huge blow. He was the second best relief pitcher in the American League. I like the Marinaccios. I like the JP Sears, but let's be honest, they're not Mike King. So who you got your eye on for the bullpen?
The guy from Pittsburgh, I forget his name. It's Bendar, right?
You're right.
Yeah, him.
He's filthy.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, we need. It's gonna be hard to replace King. It will be, because he was just so good for us. Michael King, for what was the story before Holmes, right? This season. So he was such a big arm in that bullpen for us, and for him to go down, man, heartbreaking. I felt so bad for him. My heart broke. I'm like, man, he's having such a good year. And it's just, how do you replace that? I don't know.
You can't replace it.
It will be hard.
You can't replace it. It's kind of like when Giambi left the A's, right? There's not another Mike King out there that you can go and get. So that's why I think the Yankees' best option is to go for multiple bullpen pieces. Get Bendar, I like Daniel Bard. I like David Robertson because, even if Robertson isn't the guy in the playoffs, he's pitching well now. Yeah. And he can get you through some of these summer months where arms are kind of tired, let everybody kind of refresh. The Yankees did give themselves the advantage of being able to rest some guys right now because you got that big division lead. Now, we all want home field advantage in the playoffs, and the Astros are making that difficult. You'd love to have best record in the major leagues, but really that's not that important unless you get to the World Series. But I think that Cashman is, and the Yankees in general, are viewing this as, look, we're going to be in the playoffs. Let's get everybody healthy. And there's no need to empty out the farm when we really just need to supplement the roster in a few areas. So, as much as we'd all love Soto, I think Castillo's a much more likely scenario. Apparently the Twins are in it for Castillo. I don't know. It might come down to where he wants to go. Sometimes when a GM is trading a player, they'll talk to that player and say, hey, look, man, we've got deals in place with, the Twins, the Yankees, the whoever, where you want to go. And that's how it'll get decided. That's what happened with Brian McCann when he ended up going to Houston. So how do you feel about Luis Castillo?
Listen, it all depends on what we have to part with, right?
Right.
Do we have to trade Peraza? Do we have to trade him? He's having a really good season after his really slow start. He's been hot lately. Same with Volpe, Dominguez. So listen, what do we have to trade for Castillo? Will it be a Peraza? I don't know, because I view Peraza potentially next season as our starting shortstop for next year.
Potentially. Yeah.
So in getting Castillo, yes, we get a really good pitcher, really good, but we're potentially parting with, you know, a future piece that could help us next season. So it all depends. And Peraza, in my opinion, I'm really excited for him. So for me, it might be a little hard to part, but at the same time, though, if you want to upgrade that rotation, you might have to make a move like that, because who's to say Judge comes back and we lose him, and this is the window, perhaps, this season. So if you want to go all in, might have to do it.
So Peraza is your guy that you would that's like your line in the sand guy that it's going to be really tough to deal.
I mean, Volpe and Dominguez, absolutely not.
Yeah. Right.
But then after those two, it's like, okay, hey, how about Peraza? And it's like, I got to think a minute, but you know, he might be see, I don't know, man. It's tough.
Yeah. That's why this is tough for Cashman. Ultimately, this is going to come down to him. The episode that we're doing now is titled Cashman's Dilemma. Look, if you go back and examine the Yankees' top 10 prospects for the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, every time 9 out of 10 players is a bust. Yeah. Blake Rutherford was going to be the next big stud, you know, end up dealing him. Anthony Volpe's 21, right? And Jason Dominguez is 19. When Soto was 19, he was he was helping you win the World Series in Washington. And when he was 21, he was winning the batting title. So he's obviously further along than these two guys. But I see these highlights of Dominguez going deep in the futures game. I see Volpe going deep every night now. And I'm salivating. Those are the two guys that I would love to hold on to at all costs. If you want to have 8 of our top 10 prospects, but not Volpe, but those are the two guys that I'm holding back. Apparently, they want some young players, you know, potentially guys with service time, and that's why I was thinking, you know, IKF and Gleyber Torres are really the only guys on our roster that fit that mold. I don't know if they would want Gleyber because they would have to re-sign him pretty soon anyway. He doesn't really do much for you.
Yeah, I know.
IKF though, he's you know, they could probably use him at third base and get the defensive value back. You know, I don't know, man. Final thoughts on Juan Soto before we move on to something else.
Listen. If Soto was guaranteed to re-sign a contract extension, right? And we acquire him and he's guaranteed to resign, I'm doing it. I don't even care. No hesitation. Volpe, Peraza, and Dominguez all could go, right? Because we know what Soto will be. And it's tough. Will all three pan out? Will all three be Juan Soto? No, maybe. But Juan Soto is elite. He's never had under 900 OPS ever. So I mean, like, what are we doing here? So but I need to know that I have you for the next 10, 12 years if I'm going to part with Peraza, with Volpe, with Dominguez. That's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you get Juan Soto, essentially you have to either re-sign Judge or Soto, because if Judge departs and then you can't sign Soto in 2 years because he wants to play for the Mets, you're screwed because you gave up your future. You know, in chasing this really one championship before Judge departs. So it's just it's an impossible situation for Cashman. I just, that's why I don't think he's got the club in his bag, because the safe play is to go out and get the best starting pitcher you can, get a couple of bullpen pieces, maybe get another depth piece, you know, for the bench, and just be like, hey, look, we're just trying to improve in the margins, like they always say. But one thing that would be interesting is if they decide that, you know, Ken Waldichuk is ready to step into the rotation. Maybe he's their starter, okay? Then that opens you up to trade for the bat. And if you're going to go get a bat, I mean, who do you want? You want Benintendi or you want Soto? It's like, you know, at that point, if you're just deciding to trade for a bat and you're saying that the best pitchers available come from within our system, then I think that might push him, you know, over the edge to go get Soto. It's going to be an unbelievable 10 days of rumors, man.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, even if you look back to 2009, right? We added some depth. We acquired Harrison Jr. We acquired Hinsky at that time. We just added depth. So if we can just do that, listen, I like Joey Gallo as a person. He seems like a good dude, but you're hitting a $160, and when your spiel is to get on base, you're getting on base 28% of the time, and that's just not good enough, buddy.
Gallo's got to go. Gotta go.
I mean, what's going on? I remember years ago with Giambi when he would be slumping in the beginning of the year, maybe having a $180 average, but his on base is like 350, right? So that's not what Gallo's doing.
Right.
And it sucks. So listen, give a guy, like, if you don't want to trade the farm for Soto and you want to add a pitcher, right? Give Florial a chance, man. He's 24. He's a left-handed bat, 12 home runs. He's only had a cup of tea up at the major leagues because of the double headers and all that stuff. Give him a shot. I'm a big Florial guy. Just give him an opportunity if you don't trade him. Why not?
Florial's interesting. The thing I go back to with the Florials and the Andujars is that the Yankees seem to know the metrics of their guys really well in the minor leagues. If you go back and look at like Hoy Jun Park last year, he was tearing up AAA, and the Yankees move him in the Clay Holmes deal, and he's done nothing at the big league level, nothing. So they must feel like Florial is a quadruple A player. That's the only thing I can think of is that the metrics aren't translating. He pulls the ball a lot. He still strikes out a lot against minor league pitching. They must feel that when he gets to the major leagues, it's just not going to translate. And Andujar, we've seen it before, but not since the injury. Not since the injury. I know. And I tore my labrum. I had the same exact injury that he had. You just lose mobility. Even with the surgery, you're never the same, ever. And, Greg Bird, another guy who had the exact same injury, can't hit a fastball anymore. He's doing well in the minor leagues, but you get him up against that extra, when it's 95 instead of 92, you just don't have the quick reaction out of your shoulder anymore. And so, as much as I like Andujar, and I've seen him hit the ball pretty hard, in spurts, I just don't know if he's the same quality of hitter that he was in 2018. It's just gone down like 10%, but that 10% was enough to push him down, where you can't use him on defense at third base. Outfield, he's okay, but what he's going to give you at that, 90% of what he used to be offensively just isn't enough for the Yankees. And I'm not talking the 90% in stats, because if you went 90% of his stats, they'd be fine. But if you go 90% on like the analytics, of the biometrics, he's just not the same player.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But listen. With I totally get that argument with Andujar and him not being the same player, and he might not be, honestly. But with Florial, and I love him so much.
He's fun to watch.
I love him so much. That last season when we brought him up, I believe he played in 13 games or something. He had a 300 average with the home run. I know that's not much. That's a very small sample size. But even for this season too, you bring him up for a doubleheader. What can the kid do? Just let him rip. Just give him an opportunity for 15 games. And honestly, to be honest, that might have passed already. We probably can't do that because we're close to the deadline.
Too close
now,
yeah.
And we need to add. We need to maybe add. If we can't get a Soto or a Reynolds or a Happ or Benintendi, maybe a rung lower, maybe Peralta or Cole Calhoun, somebody of that nature.
You're making a great point.
Yeah. So listen, Joey Gallo strikes out 1,000,000 times. DFA him. I'm sorry. If you can't find a home for him by the deadline, DFA him. You can't have him plug up a spot.
That's the thing about Gallo.
How do you feel about that?
Well, so we were wanting to get rid of Gallo for months now because we could see the writing on the wall. He wasn't getting better. The guy's a nervous wreck up there. You can see it in his eyes. He's a deer in headlights. Yeah. And so that's why I was screaming a month ago to give Florial. Let's find out what he does at the major league level. Let's know what we have. The Yankees must feel confident that they already know what they have. Fans, I know I don't. He might come up and rake and be fantastic.
Yeah.
But he also might come up and not do much. So but I would have liked to have known that for myself because I know what Joey Gallo is. We know he's not going to make it. His days are numbered. 9 days left. If he's not traded by the deadline, I'm going to lose my shit on this channel. But I think it's a foregone conclusion he's going to get moved. Yeah. So why not give one of the kids a chance for, at the minimum, a week or two?
Absolutely. Listen, if we can't unload them, if for some reason, if we can't, which I think they will, because the Rangers enjoy Gallo. Obviously, the Padres do, but just cut him. You know,
Right.
what's there? There's no reason to have him. Just get rid of him. But
Yeah.
I think he goes before the deadline. That's why he's still in the lineup. He's auditioning for these other teams right now. That's why, you know. So listen. I would love Florial for him to get called up to see what he can do. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if you're at that point anymore because the deadline's approaching and we might have to maybe use that roster spot on a Peralta-like player, right?
Yeah.
You know, a guy, I think Peralta's hitting 240, I think.
Yeah, I don't have the stats in front of me, but he doesn't
80
tear the
points
coat.
better than Gallo.
It's going to be a really tough week for him to decide. He's got to find out with absolute certainty in the next 9 days what he has in the minor leagues that he's willing to lose a future Hall of Famer over. You know, Volpe's good.
You look at Volpe, in the last 16 games,
he's hitting over 300 and
328, 432 OBP, 1023 OPS, 3 dingers. I mean,
he's definitely trending upwards.
You know, like he's kind of like that's the thing. So
that's what Cashman has to know is what's the real guy. You know, is it the guy who's been tearing the cover off the ball lately and tore the cover off the ball last year? How's he going to work in AAA and then the major leagues? How long is it going to take him to become that player? And will your window have passed by the time he gets there? Those are the things that he's got to know. But hey, look, I've been watching your channel now for, probably close to a year. You're pretty good, man. So take me a little bit on your content creation journey. What got you started?
Yeah, well, listen, I actually have another channel. It's a gaming channel. So I love gaming. I love that. My favorite game's Fallout. So I don't know if you've ever played it.
My buddy works in developing Fallout. He works for the studio, so every time it comes out, I get a care package in the mail with the latest game, autographed by the whole development team.
Fallout's my favorite game. I got a Pip-Boy over here. But yeah, no. So then, just learning the algorithm and YouTube and all that fun stuff. So then I thought about it. I was like, listen, why don't I love the Yankees. Why don't I just start a channel? And my cousin, he was like, dude, start one. My wife, she was like, start one. You love the Yankees. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it. So back in November, I tried it and, and I'm loving it. So I love talking, just talk, screaming into the microphone, talking Yankee baseball. It's my passion. I love it.
Same here, man.
I could talk Yankees all day.
Yeah. Like last night, I got, as a content creator, occasionally you get like bad comments or whatever. And somebody
all
said,
the time. Go on.
Yeah. Somebody was like, you're going to be 65 years old, still doing videos. And I was like, I hope so. Yeah. That's what I love to like. That's the dream. I'm in my living room. I go outside a couple times a day and I shoot some hoops or I hit some golf balls in the net. I play with my dog. I come in, I make a video. This is the life. This is the best. Dude.
It's awesome.
Oh man. It's great. But these next 10 days are going to be quite busy. So keep do like Guru Sraba, your meditation, keep yourself together because it's going to be intense, my friend. I'm going to have you back on more after the deadline, and we're going to talk about how we feel about what moves Cashman did or didn't make. But The Shift is the channel. I appreciate you taking the time out to join today.
Thank you for having me on, brother. Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you. And I look forward to being on in the future, man. Thank you so much.